Do you like to break me down when I'm shattered on the ground? Are you happy? Are you happy? All I wanted was your love. Was I asking for too much? Are you happy? Are you happy? Do you like to break me down when I'm shattered on the ground? Are you happy? Are you happy? All I wanted was your love. Was I asking for too much? Are you happy? Are you happy? You break me down off the ground. You happy? You happy?
Hello, my soul family. Welcome to The Love Show. This is a special show provided by my Spiritual Counseling TV network. My name is Christie Ramirez and I am your soul coach. So in today's episode of The Love Show, to recap a little bit what The Love Show is about, this is a free show offered by my Spiritual Counseling TV network, and it's free on my YouTube channel every month. And what we're going to be talking about in this show is about love, relationships, and dating. All your questions answered, because I know that there is a lot of curiosity when it comes to true love. What is it about? So I will be offering my expertise, working with clients many years, but also from my own personal experience, and bring it all into the show and see what comes through. We ask for spiritual guidance as well from heaven, from God. What is the right direction for all of us so that we can all find our true love? Because that is a huge component of what life is about. Life is about having love, and this is not just any ordinary love, but it needs to be true and it needs to be spiritually based. So this is what I wish and would love to bring to you, all of you today and in all the future episodes. And if you want to learn more knowledge specifically about couples, what it takes to thrive in a relationship for the long term, then definitely check out my new couples therapy talk show. It's exclusive at the Spiritual Counseling TV network. Every week it's premiered for members on Thursdays. You definitely don't want to miss out with that. And of course, all the wonderful exclusive content as well in the Spiritual Counseling TV network. So before we begin today's show, let me just briefly overview what the Spiritual Counseling TV network contains, so that when you become a member this new year, you know what to expect. Every Monday, you can expect your motivational speech. Every Tuesday, your therapy session. And every Wednesday, it's a Q&A radio show where I answer your questions that you leave me privately. And then every Thursday, couples therapy talk show. And then every morning, you can expect your daily morning spiritual guidance video. It's a video of no more than 3 to 5 minutes, and it's going to make all the difference in starting our day on a high vibration. And then some of the free content provided by my Spiritual Counseling TV network is my free 1-minute daily heavenly podcast show at my Instagram page at spiritualcounseling.tv. Subscribe, sign up to that page, because you also get a free quote of the day in the story. And then the other free content, of course, is the Love Show and also the weekly newsletter. If you are signed up to my mailing list, please sign up to my free mailing list on my website, christieramirez.com. I'm sending exclusive offers year-round that nobody else gets, not even on social media. So you definitely want to sign up now. And of course, let's begin now then with the Love Show. So we are currently in the end of January. I hope that you all saw the holiday spectacle for 2021, the first episode of the Love Show. And that was a great way to set the stage, because, you know, true love is something that's very rare, but yet everybody dreams about it, right? And when it comes to true spiritual love, I feel like a lot of people feel like it's out of reach, but believe it or not, it's actually closer than you think. So I wanted to bring in the concept of that spark that gets ignited when you meet someone for the first time, that you just have a feeling that they are it. How do you know that they are the one? We talked briefly last time about the one, right? Not needing to label a certain relationship, whether it's a soulmate, a twin flame, or a life partner, ultimately we want to experience that one relationship that we can have as a life companion and actually share our life journey. And I feel like there's a lot of loneliness in the collective, and this is because many people are not here yet. You know, this ties in with the Lightworker University that I did for this transition of this new year from 2020 to 2021. I said that the year 2020 has been the awakening, and I feel like this also relates to love. The awakening of perhaps what it is that you want in a relationship. Maybe if you've met the one but didn't take that jump, that leap of faith, that opportunity when it was available to you. And now there's this rebirth happening in this year. We're still in the beginning of 2021. But I'm interested to see how this rebirth is going to look like. But when it comes to this, of what I just said, you know, maybe you've already met the partner. Let's talk about this scenario. Let's say maybe that you have met the one, and if you have, it's going to be within the recent years, because there's been a huge karmic cycle that we've been closing out that has been 10 years and way back. So if you've met your spiritual partner, which there are certain requirements that will differentiate just a more physically based relationship than a spiritual love relationship. Because a spiritual love relationship is literally more spiritual. It has nothing even to do with the physical, okay? You feel them spiritually, whether you're even around them or not. And this is something very rare and very transcendental. And I know that a lot of people are not at this stage yet, but this takes, you know, a lot of people just wake up to this naturally because they have this gift. And maybe they have a purpose with this kind of relationship, and other people it just takes more years, maybe even just more meditation and spiritual practice, what I like to say, because believe it or not, spiritual practice does awaken you. And this is awakens through your kundalini rising, your chakras that are activated, and we've been experiencing a lot of this within the recent year, and I want to say the past 1 or 2, even max 3 years. There's been a massive awakening and activation of chakras among some spiritual beings, some individuals who are open to this, right? Because if you're not believing in spiritual love, then what are the chances that it's going to approach you? But there are, of course, some exceptions to that rule, because maybe God forcefully needs that light worker to wake up, and they will bring that spiritual love into their life, whether they don't believe in it yet or not. But trust me that once you have this experience, you will have no choice but to believe in it, because you will be experiencing it. And this is a journey, a love journey that I'm talking about, because this love awakening is very different than the normal spiritual awakening. You can have even double spiritual awakening. One of them could be for your spiritual journey, your individual purpose, and then you can experience a second spiritual awakening when it comes to spiritual love. So this is what this show's dedicated about, because this is very different than just the soul journey. It goes even deeper than this. And in order for one to be able to experience the spiritual love journey, there needs to be a sense of knowledge and awakening towards the actual spiritual journey, right? Because one without the other, they can't be, because it's like they're the sum of the whole part, okay? But you can definitely be spiritually awoken without having experienced the spiritual love, but it can't be vice versa. You can't first experience the spiritual love and then the spiritual awakening. There are very few exceptions where the actual spiritual love awakening actually awakens them at the same time to the spiritual awakening. Now that's a very few rare cases, but the spiritual awakening is like the foundation, okay? So when it comes then to these people, let's say that they have met. Let's bring that up right now. It's a beautiful, chill day. I just wanted to relax here with all of you. And okay, so let's say that they did meet that, or this is because I was thinking of an example. Think of an example, right? Let's say you had a crush on someone from your past, right? And let's say that in that phase of your life that you were in and the other person was in, it just wasn't meant to be. Now, there are two routes where this can go. For some people, it's like, let's say you re-meet again after many years, when maybe, let's say, the both partners are available, but there's not that spark anymore. There's not that passion. There's just not that excitement anymore. Now, in this case scenario, which is very common actually, right? It's like if it doesn't happen in that time, then you kind of just lose interest and move on, which this happens a lot in the dating world, which is why I'm bringing it up, because people are dealing with this every day. And what I want to bring up to that, the answer to that scenario, first of all, option one, it can be kind of like an egoic crush, right? It's kind of like if you don't get the response you want from the other person immediately, right? Like an immediate gratification. It could be the ego being offended and being too proud to accept that, you know, it just wasn't reciprocal, the love. Second of all, it just wasn't the spiritual love, because a spiritual love, like I said last time, is always reciprocal. And this is on a profound level, whether or not it's expressed, which I'm going to bring that topic after. Okay, and you see how complicated love can get, but this is truly what goes on into our human psyches, okay? So number A is that it could be the ego fighting it off and just saying, you know what, I'm just going to move on. They don't like me. Maybe this person thinks they're so great. Then I'm going to move on, right? It's like an egoic thing. B, it can actually literally be that it was just an immediate lustful gratification situation. So of course, that doesn't fall into the category of a spiritual love. So there's no way to turn something that's not love into spiritual love. Spiritual love will always originally, innately be spiritual love. And that's the power of this love that I'm talking about, because you can't convert lust into spiritual love. Spiritual love can definitely be lustful, because of course you're gonna be physically attracted to your partner or to your beloved if you're not partners. But a lustful situation is never a spiritual love. That's more like a karmic situation, because that's to teach you a lesson, maybe of your value, or maybe how to differentiate between a true spiritual love and just a lustful situation, because a lot of people don't know the difference. A lot of people become fatally attracted to people that really there is no love involved. It's just a fatal attraction, and that's really, you know, disturbing, and it actually has to do a lot with their own psyches. You've all seen movies like this based on this, but this based on truth, because it's based on a psychological phenomenon that happens. It could be a little bit of an attachment codependency, actually a toxic codependency, because you are attaching yourself to someone who doesn't love you back or even reciprocate that energy, right? So you're actually bringing your vibration and aura down by doing that, by keeping that energy and giving it away, right? So those are the two scenarios. It wasn't spiritual love to begin with, or it was also the ego. But whether or not it was the ego, it just, that's what I'm bringing it now to the next part, which I was going to say, okay, let's say this love was never expressed. So let's say that they did meet, right? And there was this spiritual connection, maybe like a deeper spark that you've never experienced before, because this is what many people will say who are already in a spiritual love partnership. I've talked to many people who have found this already in their life. And of course, like I said, it's very rare. It's very rare in my life that I've seen people who have lasted this long. And believe it or not, it is possible, because when I was mastering in marriage and family therapy, I was actually trained by a couple who were always together into their older years. They were already in their older years and they were still together. That was their first marriage. Those were sweethearts. And I was trained by those, and I saw that. And I've had other people that I've witnessed as role models, whether it be strangers, people in my psychology career that I encountered. And it is possible, is what I'm saying, but it's very rare out in the world. And there are certain questions that I was curious to ask these couples. You know, how did they make it so long? And, you know, I know I'm jumping scenario, but this is the kind of how it feels, right? It's like, it's not just the physical. It's not like, oh, you're so pretty, you're so handsome, we're meant to be together. That's very artificial. That's very superficial, right? This is the kind of love that you would even grow old with them, love them into their older years, be with them through their struggles and support one another, right? And I talk a lot about this in my couples therapy talk show, because I learned a lot of what these older couples said. the coping skills and the tools that they used naturally, actually, these were innately within them. They didn't even seek couples therapy. But not everybody has this innate wisdom, is what I'm saying, because this spiritual love is very ancestrally rooted, okay, which I want to bring in this concept as well. Because how do you know it's a spiritual love? You know because there's a remembrance. And this is the kind of vibe that I was actually feeling today. A very much ancestrally based spiritual love relationship. One that was even rooted in past lives, that you just recognize your souls. Like I said last episode, right? You just recognize maybe you've been through different lifetimes with them. Maybe you were even married with them in another lifetime. But you know, it's interesting as well because yesterday actually I taught my weekly poetry class. It was the first episode. You can now watch it exclusive in my School of Light. And I'm gonna give a sample on my YouTube channel, but you definitely want to become a member of my School of Light to get all my exclusive content, including my weekly poetry class. This is good stuff. Yesterday's was like over an hour, almost like a 2-hour class, because we went over an entire poetry book. It wasn't by William Shakespeare, it was actually by Khalil Gibran, and I have the book right here actually. And this prophet talked about love. What is love? And this prophet actually, I deciphered at the end of it, it was Jesus Christ talking. He was talking, this poet was talking as Jesus Christ. This was what the poetry was based on. Why Jesus Christ walked the earth, and he gave his certain thoughts and teachings on certain different topics. And when it came to love, he said that a love, I'm actually going to read it because this is very important for today. It's very short, but this one is exactly what described what I want to bring in today. Love. Speak to us of love. It's only a page. Let's just read it real quick. He raised his head and looked upon the people, and there fell a stillness upon them. And with a great voice he said, when love beckons to you, follow him, though his ways are hard and steep. And when his wings enfold you, yield to him, though the sword hidden among his pines may wound you. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden. He's talking about, and it was the next one, marriage, but he continues. And when he speaks to you, believe in him, though his voice may shatter your dreams, as the north wind lays waste the garden. For even as love crowns you, so shall he crucify you. He's talking that love can also be painful, but this is the growth of love. See, even as he is for your growth, so is he for your pruning. Every romantic attachment that you've experienced in life helps you grow in one way or another, right? Whether it's a karmic partner or whether it's an actual spiritual love. And he continues, even as he ascends to your height and caresses your tenderness branches that quiver in the sun, so shall he descend to your roots and shake them in their clinging to the earth. And he's talking about how spiritual love actually returns us to this pureness, because that's the kind of love that we are all seeking, the purest of all loves, right? Look, he sifts you to free you from your husk. He threshes you to make you naked. He grinds you to whiteness. He kneads you until you're pliant, open-hearted, right? And then he assigns you to his sacred fire, that you may become sacred bread for God's sacred feast. All of these things shall love do unto you, that you may know the secrets of your heart, and in that knowledge become a fragment of life's heart. Now, this kind of love that he's talking about specifically in this poem, he's talking about more of love of God, right? God is in my heart, and I am in the heart of God. So when you love, you should say not God is in my heart, but I am in the heart of God. So this is reciprocal, because God loves us and we love God, right? It's reciprocal. But the next one is the one that I actually wanted to talk about, when he talks about marriage. And what about marriage, Master? And he answers saying, listen closely. You were born together, and together you shall be forevermore. So he's talking now about even being born from the same fetus, like twins, is what I said yesterday. You shall be together when the white wings of death scatter your days. Even death can't do you part, because spiritually you will both live on together. And this is the power of love. This is the kind of spiritual love that we are all seeking, right? That not even death can do you part. That's the true rare one that I am talking about. And he continues, you shall be together, even in the silent memory of God. But let there be spaces in your togetherness, because this is not about like being overly controlling or overly enmeshed, because that actually creates unhealthy partnerships. Let the winds of the heavens dance between you. There needs to be individuality. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your soul. Freedom, right? Love is free. And that's so beautiful about love. That's the true beauty of love. That love is free. True love is free. And if there is something that perhaps a partnership or you're dealing with that perhaps could be control issues, can be just codependency, that's not love, because love is free, right? So you know that it's a toxic connection, that you actually need to step out so that you can actually give yourself that opportunity amongst the universe to bless you with this kind of encounter. And sometimes it takes to be alone. You know, when you meet your spiritual love, I promise you that 99% of the time, you're actually going to meet this person in the physical, if they are incarnated in the physical, because that's another topic. It's most of the time when you are unattached to another partner, because if you're still attached to someone else, then maybe it's not your partner, your spiritual love, and maybe it's a settling situation, then you're actually blocking this opportunity from the universe. Now it's an energetic thing that happens, okay? And especially if you're emotionally attached. But let's say that this partnership, let's say it's already about to be falling apart because there is no emotional connection anymore, then sometimes God will present you with the true one. It's a very case-by-case scenario, is what I'm getting, because everybody's story is different, right? And he said, fill each other's cup, but drink not from one cup. Give one another of your bread, but eat not from the same loaf. You see, there's boundaries. Sing and dance together and be joyous, but let each one of you be alone. Even as the strings of a lute are alone, though they quiver with the same music. Give your hearts, but not into each other's keeping, for only the hand of life can contain your hearts. And stand together, yet not too near together, for the pillars of the temple stand apart, and the oak tree and the cypress grow not in each other's shadow. Even though they're next to each other, it doesn't mean that they're all over on top of each other. And that's kind of like a little introduction, sneak peek of what we did yesterday at the School of Light. That poetry class is so insightful and so enlightening, because this is actually what inspires me to talk what I'm going to bring into this show, right? Last episode I actually brought in some of William Shakespeare's quotes, so take a look at that one if you haven't yet looked at that episode. So this is what I'm talking about. Let's talk about, now those people, let's talk about the expression of love, because I feel like this is also another topic going on in the collective. There's a lack of expressing of true love, or maybe there's a difficulty in being able to express oneself. And of course, this has a lot to do with the heart chakra, and I've been channeling the heart chakra opening very much, even on my Body, Mind, and Spirit Health and Wellness website. I've been doing a lot of meditation and yoga sequences just for the heart, because I feel like truly this is a stubborn issue happening in the collective, which is why a lot of situations in love that one doesn't want to attract keep recurring. Okay, so what's the answer to break this cycle? And I just got the message right now that it is about forgiveness and compassion, especially if you've already met your spiritual love. And if you have, maybe in the moment it was difficult to express this, right? Because expressing yourself vulnerably before another person, when there's still ego imminent in the actual physical body, then of course it's going to be difficult to bear yourself before a person that you're truly irrevocably in love with, right? Unconditionally. And this is what the spiritual love dynamic feels like. But in order to get to this level, to actually make a spiritual love partnership work in the physical, right? Bringing heaven to earth. Because a spiritual love partnership is a heaven. But bridging it to earth is the purpose of why God even created this dynamic. The purpose behind a spiritual love partnership is that there is a double mission. There is a double mission in these two partners coming together to do a specific job, a specific work together. And when there is this aspect that maybe you've already surpassed the level where you already met each other, right? Maybe you're already at this level, a little bit more advanced on the spiritual journey. And chances are that if you have met your spiritual love partnership, then you are spiritually awakened. You're very knowledgeable about the spiritual journey. And if you haven't, then you're still learning with me, like what I teach you, what I've learned on my journey. Because I've learned a lot of when I got awakened to spiritual love. And you know, maybe you are confused as to who it is. Maybe you haven't experienced, which is fine. But the actual energy and dynamics, what I feel like I'm talking about, is true. And I've always been very much intuitively connected to this concept. I've always been a romanticist, and I've learned a lot through experience, through observance. And when I say that it's difficult to express this, it's because there is some ego involved. In order for a true spiritual love partnership to work, there needs to be transparency. There needs to be vulnerability. And this is what creates true intimacy. This is the answer to intimacy, right? It's being honest before one another and not caring of judgment of others, of what others might think. Because a lot of the times, actually, when it comes to spiritual love, God is pretty smart, okay? Because it's not supposed to be just roses and rainbows and sunshine. Okay, it's not supposed to be easy peasy, because with anything great in life, if there is no challenge to get it, then it loses its value, right? It's with anything in life, with it, whether it's success, a certain achievement or goal that you're trying to achieve, a victory. It requires hard work, and it requires putting in the effort, right? It requires full commitment and devotion, and of course being honest with yourself with your progress towards getting to where you want to get, right? Obviously. So when it comes to the spiritual love dynamic, the same rules apply. It's not going to be all laid out for you to just fit in together right away, because then God doesn't really know whether you're ready or not. And let's talk about these tests that, you know, these spiritual love partnerships must go through in order to actually finally come into sacred union in the physical. Okay, so what would be some of the requirements then before God to tell him and show him that you're ready for this kind of love? First of all, it is about complete surrender, right? Total surrender to the journey. And of course, let's say that there's a lot of differences among the partners. Maybe there are certain obstacles that these partners need to overcome. Maybe break certain beliefs. Maybe the family doesn't approve. Or maybe you have completely different lifestyles. Or maybe you're living completely different countries on the opposite side of the world. There's a lot of obstacles that come between these spiritual lovers. But the purpose behind those obstacles is not to keep you apart in God's eyes. It's to give you the inner spiritual strength to be able to overcome them in the name of love, right? That's so powerful, because in the name of love, many people do many things. There's even been wars in the name of love, right? The battle of love in the name of love, the War of the Roses. And this is just reminding us that love is truly one of the most powerful driving forces in our lives. Love for what we do even, right? Because passion and love is the same kind of love that we experience doing what we love, right? Let's say you're very passionate about something that you do for a living. This is your driving force. And this kind of love and passion is the same kind of love that should be reciprocal towards the spiritual lover. It's a very even artistic energy. And this is why there's many poets that have been inspired by love, right? There's art that's been inspired by love. Art and love go in together. Love is like the muse, okay? And it really does inspire even a person to want to be better because they're inspired by the other person. Maybe they admire their lover. Maybe in the name of them, they want to be a better person because maybe they see that some of their actions or habits are hurting them. This is true love gone right and actually become victorious, rising and thriving. And I've seen lots of scenarios in experiences working with clients. When it was true love, you could tell the difference. You see, when a couple comes to therapy, when a partnership is going to work or not, I can kind of tell right off the bat already. Because if you're willing to change for the sake of love, then you know that it is truly spiritually based. But if it's still the ego getting in place and you know that love is not strong enough, maybe because it's not even love, and there are different levels of love. I'm not saying that spiritual love is the only kind of love available. Spiritual love is the highest form of love, and in fact, it's even transcendental. Of course, a lot of people are not there yet, right? And I've heard some people think they're like, oh, but that's just transcendental. Like it's not possible. On the contrary, it's absolutely possible. But if we were to go a little steps down and talk about the other kind of loves, of course, there is other forms of love. There's friendship, right? Which of course that doesn't really fall into the romantic aspect unless there is this kind of platonic relationship. There is the partnership that you are in because it suits you in life. You guys are good together because maybe you do the same thing for a living, or maybe you have children and you have a family together. That's more of a needs-based, even 3D relationship, 3D kind of love, right? Because it's based on the external virtual reality that we're living in. It's not truly based on anything solid within the soul. And this explains why actually there's a lot of people that actually grow older that have talked after in retrospect, which is a very sad story when I heard these, that they were a little bit regretful to having wasted all those years in a relationship that little by little was just draining away their joy because they weren't truly passionate. Like when the passion dies, you know that it actually wasn't passion to begin with, because that was just the initiatory excitement of what people experience when they first start dating a partner. But that's not solid, that's not sustainable, right? We want something that's going to be through thick and thin. And this is a deep, profound kind of experience. And so you hear these people, whether it's the wife or the husband, saying how, you know, they lost themselves in a relationship that they weren't even that invested in. They just did it for the kids, or they just did it because they were comfortable. They didn't want to start over. Maybe they had a reputation or image to keep up. But that's not even the important aspect, right? Because what if they would have thrown all of that away and gone in the name of love? Maybe they never gave themselves the opportunity to actually meet someone that they loved. A lot of people, of course, you experience a scenario where they did meet the other person, but of course they can't get involved because maybe they're already married or such. And of course, that's another sad story as well, because the other partner is actually being emotionally cheated on, right? It's like a deception, and which is something actually funny that I wanted to talk about as well. So my point is, you don't want to waste your years settling in a partnership that's not truly the best. Because I promise you that the best, highest vibrational kind of relationship is going to get you to the best places in life. And so let's move up a level. Let's say it is a soulmate kind of relationship, which this is what usually the next category would fall in. You fall into all the requirements. So let's kind of think of a chart, a mental chart in your head right now. We went to the first level, which is just an infatuation or lust. It's not love, it's just the sexual chemistry, or it's just maybe I have a crush on you, etc. But it never steps into the next level. Let's say the next level is you're in relationship status, but the passion's not there. Okay, so it's a different kind of love. It's like a love of just a commitment kind of love, but there's no intimacy. Maybe let's say the friendship even died. Maybe you don't feel comfortable opening up. Maybe you never opened up to each other. That's kind of happens a lot in arranged marriages. That happened a lot back in the day. So let's say also the passion died. So there's no passion, no intimacy, no friendship, just the commitment. The next kind of level of love would be there's the friendship and the commitment, but no passion. Okay, so you see how you're stepping up a level, but it's still not the highest vibrational because you're only friends. Where's the love and the partnership? Because actually, believe it or not, if we're to talk a little bit about the sexual aspect, which is something I learned a lot actually in marriage therapy as well. The tantric experience, which is what the transcendental spiritual love experience, is actually more like a cosmic orgasm. It's not a physical orgasm. You don't even need to have the physical act of sex to experience this. So this is what these partners are missing, right? Not even having the experience of the passion, because we're not talking about physical passion. That's kind of just like the icing on top of the cake, to be honest. The next level of partnership would obviously be the most highest. They have the intimacy, the best friend dynamic, and they have the commitment and the loyalty, right? That's what the commitment entails. So once this is solid, that's when they're able to step into the highest of all, which is now the transcendental love. But they first need to be at this level. It's kind of like when you're in high school, right? You need to be able to graduate senior year before you can move on to graduate school, which is what the transcendental love is. If you haven't even been able to pass senior year, then what's going to tell you that you're going to be ready for the next kind of harder stuff, right? So that's kind of how love is in a metaphoric way. I'm trying to break it down more in like a sense where it's more understandable, okay? Because I've never actually tried to explain this before. I just know it. You know, it's kind of how my brain works. I just know it just by feeling it, and until I need to put it in words is when it becomes a little difficult. But it's good that I'm verbalizing it, because maybe you can understand what I'm trying to get at here and what God is trying to teach us about the spiritual love. So it's a very rare thing, you see, and it does take a lot of spiritual discipline to get there, and it takes always being in spiritual alignment. This is a lifestyle. You can't expect to reach this level if your life is out of whack, if your life is filled with addictions, with negative habits, if you're not emanating joy and love, because that's not going to line up with this kind of vibration. So this is why I always like to say that love always begins with self. That's the number one key and solution that I'm going to give to all of you today. If you want to experience this kind of love and actually be in the sacred union together with this lover, then you need to do the work. And what about those people, let's say, there's this, I've heard this before, that there are some spiritual lovers who's actually like spiritual love, the one that you were born with, like the poet said, your twin, you can say, hasn't been incarnated in the same lifetime, or maybe they are deceased. Now this is also the very rare case, but you will still feel them in spirit and they will guide you. And many of these people actually don't end up getting married, or they end up finding a very close spiritually based relationship that actually is very much like this soul of theirs. That's their one. Okay, and that's a very rare case scenario. Like if they've done the work, if they're ready, if they're deserving of love, which is actually the other quote that I wanted to bring in for today was the one on the back of this book, which actually we did talk about yesterday. It's in the same book, The Prophet, and it says, "And think not that you can direct the course of love. For love, if it finds you worthy, directs your course." And what this is saying is that we can't control love. We can't control who is our lover, our one true love. And like I said, if it finds you worthy, if you reach this level, only then will love begin to direct your course. And your course is basically your soul path. Okay, even your mission work together. So think not that you can control love, or you can decide who you want your lover to be. Again, that falls into the category of fatal attraction, false love, even stubbornness, even egoism, right? Because you can't control and direct the course of love. Only God can. And if you think you're more powerful than God, then check again, because God is always watching. So for love, if it finds you worthy, if you are a committed, devoted individual, if you're a loyal, faithful person per se, because that determines your character. If you're willing to put in the work and stay committed to this one person through thick and thin, then love will begin to direct your course. Love will begin to enter your soul path and your soul journey. So don't get confused that just because you're in a partnership or just because you're in a marriage, that's the one. It might be, but it also might not be. So it's good to always question and answer yourself these questions and stay curious about what spiritual love is, because I would hate for anyone to be missing out on this kind of experience. Life is too short to stay in anything that's of the highest vibrational. Life is too short to not experience the spiritual love. So I pray for all of you that you may find your happiness, your joy, your one true love, because this is what life is about. This is what a lot of the spiritual journey is about. It's about seeking that one true treasure, that one true flower that speaks to your soul, right? It's not just any flower in the garden. There's going to be one that stands out for each one of all of you. Because remember also this saying, which I believe is a quote from William Shakespeare, love is in the eye of the beholder, okay? And this is of course also beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now this is the spiritual eye of the beholder. We're not talking about the physical eye, because there's many handsome and beautiful people and women and men out in the world, of course, right? That's just nature. There's a lot of beauty, but of course beauty is very different for every single eye, right? But true love will be in the beholder of the spiritual eye of the person. You see, there can't be just two spiritual lovers. It's just not. God doesn't have triplets. God only has twins, okay? There's two to everything if you think about it. There's a negative and there's a positive in a battery, right? There's light and there's dark. There's not a third. The gray is actually the combination of the black and the white. So there is no third, okay? So this is just what I wanted to bring in today. I feel like we've talked a little bit, generally about what love is, taking that opportunity to express the love when you find it, because life is too short to not express this kind of love, right? Life is too short to go about your life unexpressive and loveless, right? Because that's what gives your love, that's what gives your life, if you get it, right? It's what lights your light up. It's what lights your life up, okay? So this is very powerful energy. I want to bring in some spiritual guidance now. I'm going to bring in my Botticelli cards again. This is an artist from the Renaissance time that I really love to connect to when I'm talking about love, because I really connect to this back in the day kind of energy and just artwork when it comes to love. I'm a very old school, old soul kind of person that way, and I want to give guidance for this month specifically. The last episode we asked guidance for the year of 2021, but I want to ask now month by month, what can we focus on to be able to move up a level and attract this kind of love? Right away, the Knave of Wands. This is about expressing this love, you see, assertively, with confidence. Know that you're worthy of love, because the only thing that keeps people and holds them back from expressing true love is because they don't believe they're worthy of it. And I knew we were going to get this one, the Queen of Wands. This is the Virgin Mary here, Mother Mary, nurturing ourselves and realizing our worth. We are worthy of love. Queen of Wands, that's what it stands for, self-worth. And this is, a young love as well. A young love that becomes spiritually mature, okay? Because in the initial awakening of this love, you are young on your journey. And this journey makes you wise and makes you mature naturally, and it just flew off. It makes you mature naturally. Yeah, we have the Magician in the reverse, which is the Alchemist card. And this is about, we have it in our vision of what it is that we want, but we're having trouble manifesting it into the physical world. And again, it has to do with the lack of self-worth. Needing to fill our cup, believing that, and maybe only settling for this gold energy, right? Because this Magician is surrounded by gold, with a gold cloak actually. And another important thing to note as well is that there is a lot of fire in these cards. This is about the passion that will light our life up, right? So, and I'm seeing also like this is an infinite love, right? It's for eternity, like what the poet said. This is a love that will last, even if not in the physical realm. And, this Queen of Wands, of course, she has a crown. This is being crowned is the culmination of the union of this love. But again, there is a lot of loneliness in the collective because of the lack of this connection. And this could be the illusion of separation, which is actually one of the chapters in A Course in Miracles. And what the illusion of separation tells us is that we're never separated, right, in spirit. So it's an illusion that's creating this sadness, this grievance, this depression, this loneliness. And we have the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, which is the hard-working card. Maybe more work is needed, healing work, more willingness to put in the work as well, to find this love, to pursue this love, and express your love, right? King of Chalices, the King of Cups, express your passion with all the red energy. Express this romantic love. And we have the Queen of Chalices. This is the separation of the masculine and the feminine, right? The king and the queen. The feminine here is expressing her love in writing, whereas the man, the masculine, is expressing his love in action. And the message is that it eventually needs to be expressed in words also, right? We have the blue chakra here, the throat chakra. We need to verbalize it, of course, so we can reach the state of the Two of Chalices, which is two angels together, the masculine and the feminine coming together in a very genuine, innocent love. It's a very innocent love, which is so beautiful. And therefore bare on earth, right? They're barefoot on earth, walking in nature barefoot. So this is a transparency and a vulnerability that is required for us to reach the state. There can be no secrets between them, because you need to come clean with no mask on, because then there's no way that you can get to know each other, right? So what's holding you back? I want to look into this journal. I wrote something a few months back about spiritual love, and I feel like I should read it today. And it's kind of like a channeled message, a poem, you can call it whatever it is, but it's a journal entry that I stated, and this was just coming from God, from Spirit, and it was titled Walking on Fire, which kind of resonates with today's energy because of all the fire energy, walking on this passion, not being able to withstand it anymore. It's like this unbearable love that's going to need to be expressed sooner or later because it's just going to burst out of you, right? So this is what it says. The divine masculines, which is, there's a masculine and a feminine to every relationship. And this is another concept that I teach in my couples therapy talk show. But when it comes to partnerships, the reason why some partnerships don't work actually is because either both partners are overly feminine energies. I'm not talking about whether they're a female or a male, but there's such thing as an energy, right? Or both of them are masculine. And in order for a partnership to be compatible, one of them needs to be more masculine, one of them needs to be more feminine. Okay, it's just the way it is. Because if it's both masculine, believe it or not, there can be females that can be ruled by the masculine energy within. This will look as very overly independent, overly leadership, like trying to overrule the man in the relationship, competition. It will look very aggressive and very even manipulative at times. But this is just very much rock on rock. It's not going to go along, right? Because a masculine energy wants a passive, not passive per se, but just more of a feminine, soothing energy, the opposite energy, right? That's going to nurture the masculine. And the feminine doesn't want a feminine energy because then it would just be too feminine, too much just like a friend and not like a passionate relationship, right? There would be no spark if both of them are overly feminine. Now, I'm going to talk about more about this perhaps in the next episode because there's a lot that goes into this conversation. And this is actually, believe it or not, a lot of therapy as well. But this is actually what is the culprit of a lot of partnerships not working out. A lot of the times it's not the superficial things that they said is why they broke up. A lot of the times it's just the energetic vibration are not at the same. They're not compatible, right? Both of them are positive or both of them are negative. One of them needs to be positive and one of them needs to be negative, right? Like in a battery. So that's the way that works. So let's read this. So the divine masculines are currently feeling very lost and alone. This is this loneliness that I've been channeling. They feel afraid of losing this once in a lifetime love, yet they're also afraid to ruin it. But how can you ruin it if you're yourself? The only way that you ruin it is actually when you mask yourself as something else, or the ego ruins it, right? That's where A Course in Miracles is going to be very helpful to the collective in my School of Light, my spiritual book club. So therefore they have no idea how to approach their divine feminine, as they have always been that charismatic, confident cat and still are to the public, right? This is the public image. But deep down, they're actually very vulnerably sensitive feelings. They have very vulnerable, sensitive feelings. This makes them want to unnecessarily lash out at innocent people in their lives, as they do not know how else to unleash this fiery passion from within. This is what unexpressiveness creates. It creates aggressiveness. It creates anger issues. It creates inauthenticity within. They feel like they're walking on fire with this love. It's like they're afraid to get burned, but at the same time they crave it, because it's fire is the passion, right? It can be on both spectrums. It can be for the good. It can fire up your life with new life force, or it can definitely burn you if you take the wrong step, right? It's a risk to their hearts as well. But let me tell you that spiritual love will never risk your heart. Those are past traumas from past relationships that were not spiritually based. And that's why these traumas in love get created, which is a very sad story, because a lot of people don't see this at a very profound level, like the way that I'm talking about it right now. Anytime someone's afraid of love, spiritual love, when they're looking at it in the eye, because if you're rejecting the love, it's because you know that it's not spiritually based, right? So you're in your right to say no. But if there's a spiritual love that you've already found and you're still saying no, like this happens usually for the masculine energy, because the feminine energies are ruled by love, so they will embrace and welcome it, right? Unless they've been hurt a lot, but they will only open their heart to their one true love. And so the masculines usually have been heartbroken a lot on their journey. So the funny thing is, or should I say not funny, but the psychological reasoning behind this closing off of the heart is because if you think about it, these relationships didn't work out because they were not meant to work out. They were lessons, they were karmic, they were not spiritually based. So why should one have a trauma with a spiritual love if no one has ever experienced a spiritual love before? You understand? So this is the irony, right? Because spiritual love is not supposed to be traumatic. And if that is something that you're experiencing, then chances are it's not spiritual love, or it's only making you stronger. So there is a very fine line, because spiritual love will never hurt you intentionally. So it's a risk to their hearts, a risk to show themselves bare and naked, symbolic of vulnerability, their deepest emotions, their real self, yet the most realist ever. They're tired of pretending to be fake happy. They have their divine feminines deep in their hearts, and they've written love letters to her that have been unsent. They are having vivid dreams about her and yearn to just feel her once. They want to touch her, make sure she's real and not just a dream, not just a silly fantasy that they've made up in their minds. They love her, pure and simple. They want her, they desire her, they want to claim her theirs, they want to marry her. She's mine, he says in his mind. So how will these divine masculines gain the courage to confront their divine feminines and confess this truth, that they're in love with her? This is the confession that needs to come through for this actual physical union to take place, right? So that's a big aspect actually that's present in these long-lasting couples. They're very good at communicating. Okay, and we're going to talk more about communication skills, because there are certain actually myths about communication skills that most people have their beliefs on. That's not true, which is what I talk about in my couples therapy talk show, exclusive at my spiritual counseling TV network. They've fallen head over heels for their divine feminine. And this is the kind of spiritual love, my friends, that we all want in our lives, and that I really want to help you get there. You can also book a personal soul coaching session with me. I'm currently available 8 open spaces per week, Wednesdays and Thursdays currently. So check the schedule on my website, but for now it's 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. noon. So that's the energy for this date that we're in 2021, late January, the end of January 2021. And I do want to end with one final message from God today. And we got a lot of reversals. So we got the 3 of Cups in reverse. Yeah, lack of celebration, lack of union. There is separation. They might be separated. Maybe they haven't met, or maybe they've been separated after they met. And then we have the 9 of Chalices in reverse. Yeah, this is feeling like something's missing in your life, and it's this kind of love. And whether or not you've met this person, I see a lot of people, you know, with what's going on in the world right now, they've been awakened to what's actually been missing. Because the thing is that when you live your life distracted by material things, maybe a job that you've had in the physical world, maybe let's say that you've lost a job during this moments that we're in, or maybe your life has been completely turned around, maybe now you have more free time, or whatever the case may be, your life's been shifted. But this year 2020 has this is collective energy here that I'm seeing, the collective table of all of us. Everyone here looks like they're missing something. Everyone looks sad. Everyone looks unfulfilled emotionally. That's the energy. And this is the 9, which is the ending of a cycle of this energy. Because we're finally stepping into this new cycle this year 2021. My new You Tell Me Soul Coaching program is going to help you to get here, so that you can be able to make this transition with this card that I just flipped over. The 3 of Cups in reverse, coming into union and celebrating this transformation. Only you can get here when you're a new you. This is the rebirth of 2021. Look at her. She's all bare naked, beyond the angels, beyond her spiritual love, beyond the universe, to now accept the real thing. No more karmic situations, because the number 9 can also represent karmic cycles that have been endless and unfinished businesses. And so we have here at the bottom the 10 of Cups in reverse. See, this is the unhappiness that there is among the collective, the unfulfillment, the lack of a true, solid, nurturing family relationship within your life, right? It has to start off first as a romantic relationship to eventually have a family. And so the guidance for today is actually to pray. Pray for guidance, pray for help. Seek my spiritual guidance at the Spiritual Counseling TV Network, your daily morning spiritual guidance to keep you daily spiritually aligned, your weekly therapy sessions, your weekly couples therapy talk show. And if you need extra help, definitely book a one-on-one personal soul coaching session. Because my friends, the time is now. There's no more time to waste in false relationships. This is a moment where we're all rebirthing to be able to experience this harmony worldwide. The 6 of Pentacles, finally stability, alignment of body, mind, and spirit, and harmony between both partners, between both souls, coming together in the middle. So this is a lot of compromise as well that I'm seeing. Compromising, leaving behind things of your old life, like old habits, addictions. All of these things need to be resolved for you to be able to attract the spiritual love. And coming together in common ground, because there will always be a common ground in a spiritually based relationship, because there is a mission to be achieved among both partners. And of course, individually, you also have your own life and your own mission, as a matter of fact. So the final guidance again is stop being in the hand-to-man position. Stop being stagnant when it comes to this love, and make some changes. Because do you really want to live your life unfulfilled for the rest of your life? This is actually the moment that's actually very critical, which is God telling me right now, that if you don't make these decisions and action steps, right, the Hangman in reverse, in this year 2021, your chance is going to be over. Because, like I said, these are collective energies. My Lightworker University really ties in with the collective energies. And I said that the year 2020 was the awakening. I'm repeating myself because it's important. And if you haven't been awakened, you probably wouldn't even be listening to me. And so there's this, you don't have the chance to even be here, right? 2021 is the transition to the rebirth. There's a lot of nakedness here, right? With the hangman, he's basically only wearing like a little shawl, like Jesus, right? When he was crucified. Jesus Christ's teachings, of course, in miracles. We talk about the crucifixion. We actually talked about it in the poetry yesterday as well. But this is what's going to help us. Jesus is actually going to help us attract the spiritual love with his teachings, because guess what? He was the embodiment and the ultimate master teacher of unconditional love. Jesus Christ. And so if you're not willing to make this transition, which requires change, transformation, action, then you're going to miss that chance and opportunity. And I'm telling you this because in whatever way that means for you, how it looks in your life, the year 2022, in numerology, it's the year of partnerships, coming together. The number 22, there's a lot of twos in the year 2022. This is a year that I've really been channeling as the metamorphosis, finally coming together, making these actual physical changes in your life to be able to make this a solid relationship, actually make it real, no longer in your dreams, no longer just in the ethers, in the ethereal realm. This is going to be real in the year 2022. But this year 2021 is when these changes need to take place. You need to give a little to receive, right? Give God a little bit. Show him that you are worthy. Show him that you are ready. Show him that you want this. How bad do you want this spiritual love? That's a very powerful, motivating message today from God. I'm so excited because I know that a lot of good things are coming. I know that even worldwide, I said this in my Lightwork University, if you want to know more about what I've been channeling and feeling for the world situation and just what we're going to be dealing with as an entire collective, check out the Lightwork University presentation 2020 to 2021, which is titled The Awakening and the Rebirth. Because this is tying in with love, but it's also tying in with all other areas of our life. And I promise you that by the year 2022, this is going to be a new world. We are currently in this transition. We're making that steady progress. But true, magnificent progress takes time. So we need to be patient and we need to be steady in these changes. Continue to do the work on a daily basis. This requires a lot of discipline and spiritual diligence. Okay, like a military of God. Live this new spiritual lifestyle and accept this. And you know, it's just funny, right? The Botticelli cards actually have two wheels or two pentacles on it. So this is definitely, you know, the mirroring energy that we're experiencing as well. Because that's what true twin souls are like. They mirror each other. So they can feel each other on a spiritual level. But now it's about making it real. And taking that leap of faith. Coming together for this new beginning. So I hope that this really inspired all of you to take that action or to at least do the inner healing work if you haven't yet had this experience in life. Because I promise you that it will change your life for the better. And you want to live your highest quality life, right? This is the biggest lesson that we've all learned with what we're all dealing with. Nobody's exempt from this. We're all living at this time in the world. But Mother Gaia is ascending. She's transforming and also rebirthing for us to set the stage and prepare us for this new life that we're about to embark on. My name is Christie Ramirez and I'm your soul coach. Please check out all my resources. Become a member of the Spiritual Counseling TV network to get more exclusive and in-depth content, educational, here at the Spiritual Counseling TV network on a weekly, daily basis. Have an amazing and beautiful day. Thank you for watching today. Please share, like, and subscribe. And namaste.